I want to go into what happened later that day. Now, later that day, your mom walked you over to the Park house.
Yeah, she did.
And you heard your mom have a conversation with Mrs. Park.
I think so.
Mrs. Park told your mom that you and Sydney were going to be unsupervised.
Yeah, she said there wasn't going to be a babysitter that day. She had to go to work.
So your mother knew this.
Yeah.
And your mother went to work.
Yeah. My mom went to work.
Once you guys were left alone, you and Sydney, you took out the gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you started to play this game, roulette.
Well, yeah, after we got bored of going around the house with it.
And Jesse, when it was your turn, you lifted the gun up, and you opened up the cylinder, right? Jesse?
I don't think so.
Jesse, do you need me to refresh your memory?
I don't think I opened the cylinder. Yeah, I guess I did.
You did.
Yeah, I opened the cylinder.
So, before you aimed it at Sydney, you opened up the cylinder.
Yeah, when we were in the room, the bedroom, in the safe. That's when I opened the cylinder. You're right. I did check the cylinder.
Actually,
It was in the bedroom.
Jesse, I don't mean to interrupt you, but you actually opened the cylinder twice. You're right, you did open it in the bedroom. As soon as you took the gun out of the safe, you checked to see if it was loaded.
Yeah.
And then when you were playing the game, as you lifted the gun up, before you pulled the trigger, you opened the cylinder.
No, that's not true.
Okay, Jesse, I'd like to approach you with your deposition. Can I have a copy of the closing counsel? Oh, do you already have a copy?
Yeah.
Thank you. Here, Jesse, let me hand you your deposition. Do you want me to take that back from you? Okay, Jesse. Let's refer to line 198 of your deposition. Are you with me?
Sorry.
That's fine. 198? Okay. I picked up the gun. It felt different than it did before. I opened the cylinder and spun it. I closed the cylinder. So Jesse, just to be clear, you did open the cylinder just before pulling the trigger.
I unlatched it. I guess I didn't pull it all the way out, but I kind of unlatched it, kind of opening a little quicker, so it could be spun. Yeah.
Jesse, actually, you can only spin the cylinder if it's fully outstretched, if it's fully erect out of the gun.
Not this one.
Jesse, that's actually a fact about all revolvers.
I don't know anything about any other gun. I've never touched a gun before, but on this one, when you pull the little tab on the left side, you can spin the chamber. And that's what I did. I said I opened it, and then I pulled that little lever, and it made it so it would spin.
Okay, Jesse, let me get that back from you. So Jesse, you opened the cylinder.
I unlatched the cylinder, yeah.
And now you know that there must have been a bullet in there.
Yeah.
Now, you'd agree with me that on a cylinder, you can, if it's fully open, you can easily see if there's a bullet inside.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesse. Now, let's go back to that instance. You were holding the gun up. And you aimed it at Sydney Park's head. And you're saying you were playing roulette, but she wasn't looking at you?
Yeah, she kind of turned her head sideways and stared up the window, the wall. Yeah.
So Jesse, you pointed that gun at her and you pulled the trigger.
She told me to. Hey,
Jesse,
I'm so sorry.
I understand this is difficult, Jesse. I'd like to talk to you about the statement that you made to the police. And Jesse, actually, that statement's already in evidence, so let me pull it up here. Now, Jesse, I just want to be very clear about what we're going to discuss here. I understand that you may have changed your story, but I just want to talk about what you wrote on this paper and what you told the police. Is that okay? Okay. So you wrote, I came over today and I made Sydney tell me the combination to the safe. Did I read that right?
And that is what I wrote on the day. Didn't want Sydney to get in trouble. I knew we weren't supposed to be
Jesse?
playing with the guns, but I didn't want Sydney to get in trouble.
Jesse, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but I want to be very, very clear. I just want to talk about what you wrote the day of the shooting, okay? And you wrote, I made Sydney tell me the combination.
This is what I wrote on that day.
And you also wrote, Sydney didn't want to.
I also wrote that.
Okay, Jesse. Finally, you said it was an accident. After this happened, you called your dad.
Thought my mom hated it.
I'm sorry, you're right, your mom. You didn't call the police.
Should have. But first thing I wanted to do was talk to my mom.
That was actually the only call you made, right?
I talked to anybody after that. When the cops came, I could barely say anything.
You spoke to your mother for 7 minutes on the phone.
I had no idea. Time felt like it stopped.
Pass the witness. I'm sorry, Jesse. You can finish.
I don't know how long it was. It felt like time just stopped.
Pass the witness. Opposing counsel like me to deconstruct?
Leave it up. Thank you. May I proceed, Your Honor? Jesse, why did you write this statement?
There was a couple police officers next to me, and they told me it would be easier this way. And I didn't want Sydney to get in any trouble. We weren't supposed to be playing with that gun. It was an accident.
Did you make Sydney do anything that she didn't want to on that day?
Objection, Your Honor. Speculation.
Your Honor, you can go into his rationally based perception of what Sydney wanted to do that day based on her actions. If I may proffer, he will go on to explain how Sydney was the one who suggested the combination, opening the filing cabinet to get the combination, how Sydney was the one who told him the combination to put into the safe, how Sydney was the one who suggested to play roulette. This goes to his rationally based perception of what Sydney Park wanted to do on that day. And therefore, this is admissible.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Mhm.
This is exactly what the rule about speculation goes to. He can go into what he saw. He can go into what Sydney might have said to him. He can go into the fact that Sydney grabbed the combination, but he cannot say she wanted to do this because that is going into her state of mind, and nobody can testify as to Sydney's state of mind except Sydney Park. So if the opposing counsel formulates their question and answer so that Jesse is only stating the facts that he rationally perceived, then that wouldn't be speculation, but saying she wanted to do something, making that conclusion for Sydney is not allowed.
Your Honor, if it would please opposing counsel, I can rephrase the question.
The law sustained the objection, of course you can renew it again, and depending on how what we heard next, so let's proceed.
Did Sydney Park want to go into the filing cabinet?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
Your Honor, I can rephrase it.
Sustained.
Did Sydney Park suggest going to the filing cabinet?
Yeah, as soon as her mom left, this was what she said that she wanted to do, was to get the gun and play with it.
After you found the combination in the filing cabinet, did Sydney Park suggest opening the safe?
Yeah, she read it and I entered it.
After entering the